maxed out. We do it for a reason. In this particular site, I must have looked at 6, 7 times. I would drive out on Saturdays and Sundays. I would go across and I would park on the other side of the bayou, and I would just get out and I would walk and I would look at that almost 1,000 feet of water frontage. I mean, just look at that, and just all of a sudden you're looking at something and you're living there, and you know this is very special. This is a gated community. This site has a boardwalk. It's got a dog park. It's got a kayak launch. It's things people like, and it's a lifestyle, and it's going to be 156 lifestyles. I've done a lot of projects. I've got quite a few here in Sarasota I'm working on and I've completed over my career. This is some of you heard me say this. This is probably the most exciting project I've ever worked on. This is what it's all about, and this is my passion, and I love it. So I'll answer any questions. Try to if you have any questions you'd like to talk about the development.
Okay, I'm going to leave you that microphone up here, and I'm going to see if there are questions in the audience. You have to wait until I get to you with a microphone because the meeting's being recorded.
Yes, what is the parking ratio that you're going to be providing?
I'll let Joel answer that. We're close to 2 to 1.
Yeah, it's about 1.75.
Joel, use the microphone.
Yeah, about 1.75. We're still refining it now. We're actually getting ready to resubmit this week. So the commercial is going to be much heavier parked than the residential.
Is that just meeting the required standard, or are you providing more than what's required?
More than what's required. The standard is 1 per unit.
And you're providing 1.75?
Yeah, 1 point, yeah.
Have you established price points on these units yet?
Yes, we have. We had several focus groups before we finally selected COA Bank as our marketing company. The boat slips will be sold with the units. They're priced with the units. There will not be any outside purchases for just the boat slips. So they'll stay within the community. The price point is somewhere in the high 4s, and I believe we get up to the very low 8s. If I'm not, is that correct, Derek? Who's here with COA Baker?
With boat slips.
With boat slips.
529.
Wait a minute, I'm coming over with the microphone. If it doesn't get on the video, it doesn't get kept forever.
With boat slips, the entry point would be 529, going up to 869 for the largest unit on the 4th floor.
Thank you, and you are?
I'm Dirk Dahl with Cultural Bank.
Thank you. Next question?
You've come up with something that everybody seems to be happy with. What did you start out with, and how did you decide to come to where you are now?
Well, we didn't start out with anything. We started out with, hey, this is what we have. This project is, I believe at least 4 total developers were vetted for this project. Everybody had their own ideas. When I first looked at it, I won't even go into what was proposed there, but I had no interest whatsoever in doing a joint venture. The highest and best use for this property is what we're intending to do with it. In my opinion, it will have the least impact on the neighborhood. It will be a compatible neighborhood. Someone at Tahita Park said, well, can I continue to use your area there where I launched my kayak? No, we're gonna make it better for you. Of course you can use it. We're gonna be really, really good neighbors there. So it's the only product in my mind that there are other products that would work there, but there are not other products that would work with that neighborhood there.
Once you've got it built and the condo association becomes the owner and you're out of the picture, what will assure what you just said will remain true through time? In other words, that yes, they can use the kayak, the neighbors can do this, the neighbors can do that, but if you're gone and the condo association decides, yeah, we don't like the neighbors coming and using and launching kayaks, are you going to have provisions in the...
Well, we can do that, and I'm happy to talk about it. It's just like when I was asked the question, it's like, yeah, let's open it up. Let's talk about neighbors because we want to be good neighbors. We also have to protect the association in terms of liability. So we've got to have those things built into the documents. Could we come over and use your boat docks? No, we're not asking to do that or anything. So it's just got to work for both parties. That's all. It will be in the documents. That will be something that we can agree on.
Kind of a follow-up question. It's exciting to hear a developer talk about creating public access for a tidal waterway in Sarasota Bay, and I also hope that you'll try to really make that happen. But I also had a question about the environmental condition of the property as it is. I know it's been used as a boat yard for many years. Is there going to be much environmental remediation of that property? And also, are there any other thoughts that you have about kind of giving back to the bay?
We're going to let the environmental engineers tell us. We currently have, you're only good as, your company can only be as good as the people you surround yourself with. So we look for the experts to tell us what to do. And we've got experts, engineers working on this right now. We're very careful to make sure that the water just doesn't, it stops at our property before it goes into the bay. We do have provisions in our documents that we would dredge the bayou. I believe it's every 5 years, 3 to 5 years, that we would be paying for, and that's built in our cost. We'll dredge it initially, and then we'll continue to dredge it for the residents. It's part of the association fees. I'm not sure, what was the other part of your question?
Hold on.
I think you covered it, but I was wondering about other amenities that would be shared by the other users of the bay. That the mouth of Whitaker Bayou historically has been a bit beat up, but I think that the wastewater discharges have been basically turned off that were flowing into Whitaker, and so there's an opportunity for recovery of the bayou that can be shared by these community associations and others that share the bay.
Well, with regard to the wastewater treatment plant, the untreated wastewater was stopped many years ago. There is a tertiary treated outfall there, and they're actually upgrading that. The city is now upgrading that, and the property owner cooperated with the city and provided an easement to the city for no charge, and that's the construction that you've been seeing going on there now. But that water is clean, fresh water that's been coming from the treatment plant on 12th Street. As far as the other thing, I know that as far as the environmental condition of the property, for the last many years, there's been a very strict programs that the operator of the boat facility took, and I believe things are doing very well and there are not any issues. Again, we've got experts verifying all those things, but the good news is that we had an operator that paid a lot of attention, and I believe won a few certifications from the state. Again, that's in the last few years.
Do you have any details about the dredge that you're planning on a regular cycle? You said every 5 years. What kind of a channel will you make?
That's really hard for me to say. We think we've got approximately 4 feet there, and when the water's high, we maintain whatever we're told to maintain. I don't know what that is. The boats we're bringing in there are not big boats, we seem to collect a lot of silt in that area, and it's more or less keeping it clean for everybody there and getting it out of there where we have to.
Yes, it has silted in again since the dredge that was done initially. So with the flow of water down that channel, it's going to silt in regularly. The original dredge was down the center of the bayou, and it was rather narrow. I thought maybe you might have already picked an area, but that's good.
We've got 3 companies that we're getting pricing from, proposals from.
Thank you. Another question here?
Yeah. One quick comment real quick, and then I'll ask the question if I can. Is North Watertower Park, Sarasota Bay Estuary Program, Swift Mud, the county came up with money. They're spending close to $2 million. So things that go into the bayou that eventually go into the bay that may cause red tide, they're spending a lot of money right now as it is. And if you watch until the next 3 to 4 years, you should see the water quality improve a lot. And the last, on that comment, never flush pharmaceutical drugs down the toilet, dispose of them properly. That'll help. Anyway, on the question-wise, between two of you, you've got 60 years plus experience. I think a lot of people here want to know, if you are a neighborhood advocate, you're sitting here, what's the takeaway from having, how do we approach a developer? How do we approach, a consultant or someone else, and to have more of these positive projects happen throughout the city and throughout the county? What's the best way to approach it? Versus, and not to say that there's anything wrong with the lawsuit, there's a couple of attorneys in this room. What's the best way to handle it if you're, like Jennifer, you get a knock on the door and says, hey, did you hear about what happened next door? What should somebody do?
Well, that falls back to the developer. The first thing the developer should do is go to the neighborhoods and talk to the people. These people's lives are going to be affected, and they need to know up front if they're agreeing with the concept or not. If not, the developer needs to listen. We've been, we try to listen. Sometimes it gets a little bit more difficult. We did the Goodwill up on the trail. That was a tough project, let me tell you. So somebody didn't disagree with us, and the city ended up in litigation for that. That's not a bad store. It's a beautiful store, but it's not Saks Fifth Avenue that somebody suggested we build there. But we did that through the neighbors. The neighbors supported us. I see a lot of those neighbors here tonight. That would not have happened if we hadn't had the support we did. So we reach out and we try to answer the questions and address anything that seems to be a problem before it happens.
From my perspective, because I deal with a lot of different types of projects, I think what Don said is very important for the neighborhood folks. That is, change is hard. It's hard for all of us, but try not to be emotional. Try to learn the process, the facts, work together so that you don't beat the commissioners to death with 40 people coming saying, I don't like it, and then the next person, I don't like it. Try to work together. I think that's important. Jim is one of those developers that I love working with because we did come out to the neighborhood first. There are some projects that unfortunately that doesn't happen. Sometimes the answer is going to be, sorry, we can't do that. It is one of those give and take kind of things. But I think what Don said is very important. Try to learn the process. Try not to be too emotional. And usually I think the give and take can be there.
And that again is where CCNA and CONA come into play, giving advice to people so they don't go off on the wrong trail to start off with and create a hostile situation. Creating a hostile situation is never going to wind up benefiting anyone.
So I'm going to ask you a more general question about developing in Sarasota, and that is, I live in a more traditional neighborhood, not gated. And I'm alarmed that everything that seems to be going up seems to be gated, and it's appropriate in certain places, and I can certainly understand in this particular development, given the style and the location. But my question to you is, can you envision building either an infill project like this might be considered, or redevelopment somewhere that would not be gated, and under what circumstance, especially considering the neighborhood surrounding?
Okay, that happened to us already approximately 3 years ago. We were developing the queue over on wrangling next to Laurel Park. One of the neighborhood meetings is the neighbor said, "You aren't going to gate it, are you?" And I thought about that for just a moment. And because my initial plans, not plans, but conversations had really centered a lot about whether it should be gated or not. And the neighbor continued to say, "We're a community here. We hope you don't shut us out. You're here asking our help, and we want you to be part of our neighborhood. And we really would appreciate you not gating it." Well, that was enough said, Gate went away very quickly. The thoughts of the wall or gate went away. So, yeah, that was not appropriate to that particular occasion. And it's a small gate. It gives people, it gives them that little extra feel of security, and we know it's not much.
You mean
in this community, yes. So I hope that answers your question.
And there is a project that I'm working on right now that hasn't really gone public yet, that as of today, it's not going to be gated. And there are those on the development team that feel it has to be gated, and there's those of us who are that say, no, you don't need to, and here's why. So I think it's the context of the neighborhood or the new development. And when you're in a lot of traditional areas, you probably should try not to gate it.
A good example for you in Indian Beach, Sapphire Shores, is the area that was Rus and Urbe, that the neighborhood tried to get as a park for a very long time, and we were this close to it when the property sold. We had the state involved, Florida Forever Fund set up, Friends of Seagate, which I'm the president of, was going to be the property holder for the community in an interaction with the city of Sarasota and the neighborhood to make a park. When that collapsed and the property was sold, it turned over to some developers who were going to do a very nice development, no gate whatsoever. So you can do infill and create a different type of community within a community and do that. Right now, that property again is under development. And I've got, okay, you want to follow up?
So I really just want to end that with, I hear a lot of developers say, well, you know, the seasonal people are my market and they want the gates. And I'm a seasonal person and worked hard for a neighborhood, not a gated enclave. So there are people out there that are looking for that traditional Florida development too, and if it doesn't get built, it's hard for us to find that as well. So.
Are you, what permits and approvals do you need from this point?
Okay, I can do that one. Currently, the project, the majority of the property is zone CI, which is commercial intensive, which by its nature, you can imagine it allows just about anything except a marina. Then there's a portion of the property zone CG, commercial general, and the rest of the property is NT, North Trail. So we're going to be rezoning the commercial portions to NT, and then agreeing to the overlay district requirements for the majority of the site, and going then through site plan approval process, because we're binding the site plan with the rezoning, so that if we get the rezoning, this site plan has to be the one developed. And that's the big one there. So we hope to be, we are in the process now, and we'll be going before the planning board and whatnot in the very near future.
Alright, so I have a question about the water. Whenever I wash my hair or something and I comb it, my hair starts sticking up for some reason. It's weird. I don't know if that's some mineral mahout thingy in the water or is it just my hair. I live in Tahiti Parkway.
This is washing your hair in the bayou, or are you
No,
washing
he
your hair?
says he lives in Tahiti Parkway. Is your house on a well or is it city water?
I have no idea.
I bet that there's somebody in this room that would know.
I don't know. We've got a couple of city commissioners here, so they may be going back to their public works department and saying,
I don't know if they can address it. Huh? Well, I don't
that's
know.
what I'm thinking.
It might be well water. There are a good number of areas along the bay that still have well water, and believe it or not, some of them even have septic tanks. My area, the majority of the neighborhood has septic tanks, and they would be on well water, except for the fact that Manatee County came in and offered them the regular water. Hold on.
Quick general one to follow up about how you get to negotiating, as you all have done, with a neighborhood-friendly developer. And I think that it's all well and good when the developer is that tight, but most neighborhoods, most people, the incompatibility issues arise when suddenly, unbeknownst to anybody, a fully developed plan is plopped down and said, this is what we're going to do. We'll have the required neighborhood workshop. We're not going to count what you say, and then we're going to go and we're going to get it done. And so I guess what I'm saying is you all need to give enlightened developer classes to other developers to help us in our side of it, because we can come to the table agreeably when we have someone invites us, as it were, but when we're kept away and said, we'll see you at the commission kind of thing, it's hard. So it's understandable that the neighborhoods are ready to be irate because they're so frequently confronted with these sorts of things. So it's a pleasure to know that some are doing it the other way, but please give some continuing education classes. And to some of the other planners, and you know which ones I may be speaking of.
Well, CONA can serve part of that function. We'll have this video up on our website for as long as we've existed. We've been in place since 1961, helping neighbors with the issues that come before them, interacting with the county or the city that they live in. And we'll be willing to put up any additional information on our resources pages that Joel and Mr. Bridges would care to provide, explanation for philosophical points of view, pointers to whatever sites you think are relevant. And I want to ask for a hand for the panel and Mr. Bridges and Mr. King. Thank you very much.